This is the step-by-step blueprint to go from 0 to paying customers solo with AI. No investors, no employees, and no budget. Now, most people spend months building an app only to realize they created a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. You burn hundreds of dollars on vibe coding tools, API fees, you get stuck in tutorial purgatory chasing the latest shiny object, and you eventually quit when your code starts throwing errors you can't fix, or when you realize it's actually really hard to get 10 paying customers. So in this tutorial, I'm going to walk through using AI for vibe coding. But how do you actually land your first customer, your first 10 customers, your first 100 paying customers in weeks, not years? So I personally use this AI first approach to launch my own SaaS app. It's called Lotato. It now has thousands of active paying customers, and I am still a one-person team. But anyway, in this tutorial, I'm going to give you the full 5-phase playbook to go from, oh, that's a cool idea, to here's a profitable business that's actually printing money. And roughly, I'll break it down into like 5 steps. So number 1 is, how do you choose and validate an idea? There's so many things you can build now with AI and vibe coding, but like, how do you know which one could make 100,000 a month, 500,000 per month? Number 2 is actual vibe coding process. Like, what's the tech stack? Do you have to hire someone? Which vibe coding tool should you use in 2026? When I started vibe coding, it was like late 2024. Lovable didn't exist yet. The team had been working on GPT Engineer, but hadn't launched Lovable. And so the vibe coding landscape has drastically changed from the time when I started. Number 3, how do you get your first 10 users? So I have an approach that I prefer. There are other approaches as well, but I'll talk through why I think my approach is way, way easier, like super easy mode building a company. Number 4, as your app actually grows in complexity, how do you transition from vibe coding to AI-assisted coding, where you cannot afford to like push a new feature and break 3 other things? And number 5 is, how do you scale from 10 to 100 paying users to 1,000? And the crazy part about this is, like, many people assume the same thing won't work. Like, what got you to 10 users won't work to get you to 100, won't work to get you to 1,000. In my experience, method I'll show you, it absolutely worked for me, just doing the exact same thing. I find a profitable idea instead of just like a cool one. I'll be honest, I think that's the wrong question to ask. I get $1 million ideas every single day because I have a personal brand and community. Like, literally thousands of people every day DM me about their problems. And I'm like, no, I don't do consulting. Sorry, I can't help you. I don't do coaching. No, I don't have a course that does this. No, I can't build out an automation to help you do this. So literally, people just tell me their problems. And that is only possible because I built a personal brand first. Now, I know this stuff you've heard before. So like, if you follow personal development, all the people, Hormozy, Gary Vee, if you follow them, like, they have been yelling at you forever to start a personal brand. I know what I'm saying is not new. However, my background was in Silicon Valley tech, okay? The first startup I did not have a personal brand. It was all cold, like cold email, cold LinkedIn DMs. And I raised money for that company. I was a founder and CEO. My husband was a CTO, raised money for that company. We had a tiny sales team of sales development reps doing this cold stuff. I would hop on demo calls to try to close these deals. And it was just like incredibly painful. And I'm saying this as someone who's like into technology and building. I really don't like sales or talking to people, okay? And so what I encourage everyone to really think about, and I know it's uncomfortable, I know you don't want to show your face, you don't want to film TikToks, it's cringe, but like, building a personal brand first has completely revamped my understanding of startups, especially startups that are bootstrapped, no funding. You have giant competitors in your space with millions and millions of dollars of funding and massive teams. If you are able to build a personal brand, it's like this incredible flywheel of everything. Like, people DM you wanting to work with you, people DM you about their pain points, so you get real ideas that people are willing to pay for, and you have access to an audience, so you instantly have a user base. So number 2, how did I actually validate the idea? I started building these AI automations, and people kept asking me, like, can you make a version of this that's easier to use because I don't know how to set up N8N or make.com. This video is from July 9th, 2024. So this is the actual precursor to Blotato. If you don't know what Blotato is, basically, like, it just helps me scale myself on social media, so I can do stuff like repurpose my content and publish to platforms. This was the precursor to it. I built a one-click automation in Zapier, which is a workflow automation tool. I tried to choose the easiest possible tool for people to learn. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a video about it. So I'm just gonna play this. And then throughout the video, I just describe it. Like, you take an article and it'll automatically convert it into a LinkedIn post and tweet. Guys, this is 2024. In short, I was building automations as part of my AI education. Like, I was trying to teach people, hey, here's a really cool thing you can do with AI. When you have a personal brand and a basically community on tap that will like very honestly share their problems and pain points with you, not only can you get a constant source of ideas, but you can start building little tools for the community and share it for free. It's not only goodwill, but it's like people just testing it to see if it's useful. And so what happened next is people kept asking for more. They were like, wait, can you also take a YouTube video and repurpose it? Can you also take a TikTok video and repurpose it? And then there's a whole other group of people that were like, this is too complicated. Like, I don't want to learn a workflow automation tool just to be able to repurpose this into a social media post. And so I kept hearing that. So what I did, this was about a month later, I just asked my audience. I literally made a TikTok video and just asked people, hey, what do you guys think of this idea? Is this a pain point you have? And like over 100 people replied in the comments. I jumped on calls with probably like 10 of these people, and I asked them what other tools they use and pay for. For me, that is the #1 way to validate an idea. So what are people paying for an existing solution? What is vibe coding? Okay, just a very quick intro to vibe coding. It basically means using AI plus your words, like literally natural language, to build an app, which could be a website app or it could be a mobile app. That's all it is. That's all it's referring to. So using AI plus the words you put in to create a website, a web app, okay, or a mobile app. So the one I used for my stuff was called Cursor AI. I actually filmed a whole YouTube series of how I built my MVP, like literally from idea to launched. It's on YouTube. Not that many people know about, but if you want to see like the raw beginning, it's here. And it took only 5 videos, I think. And in those 5 videos, I went from like totally just an idea to building the initial prototype. And the initial prototype, all it did is you paste in text here. You push a button, you push this button, and then you get a post for LinkedIn and a post for Twitter. Like, that is all it did. It didn't actually publish to social media, but this is what I mean by starting with like the most basic thing. And then basically I just added like a Stripe paywall on top of it, which at the time in Cursor, it wasn't too bad, but it's even easier now. And then I added authentication. So like the ability for users to sign up so they could like save their posts and stuff. And that was it. And it's all documented. So that's the crazy part. You can actually go back to YouTube. This was late 2024. And I used this vibe coding tool to build out my idea from scratch. And then I think I launched it late October just because I was traveling a lot between September and October. But the actual build itself did not take more than like, at the time, 2 weeks. Okay, so what would you do though in 2026? So what does the landscape look like? I've talked about this in another video, but there are basically 4 stages of vibe coding tools, so I'll write them here. If you're absolutely brand new, honestly, just start with something like Base 44. Once you are kind of like frustrated with that and getting stuck with features you're trying to implement, then you can move to stage 2, like Lovable, Bolt, or Replit. Or actually, my favorite right now to recommend is Emergent. They're getting a little bit pricier, which I don't love, but it's honestly like the most delightful user experience. Lovable is also great as well. And then most people, honestly, in this video should probably be using level 1 or level 2 tools. The moment you know you should try a level 3 tool is when you keep trying to add stuff here and it's just not working anymore. So level 3 is what I call Cursor AI, Anti-Gravity, and also Windsurf. And they are a little bit scarier. So I don't recommend starting with level 3 if you have absolutely zero experience vibe coding. It's just gonna like freak you out and probably intimidate you. So you really want to start 1 and 2. And then when you feel like pretty confident, but you're frustrated with bugs and things like that, then go to level 3. Now, level 4 is what I do now, which is Claude Code. I really don't think like most people on this live stream should be using Claude Code to build complex products if you have no technical experience. Okay, now I'm going to talk about how do you get your first 10 paying users. Okay, funny part is before I had a personal brand, I thought that this was like a super hard thing. Again, I talk about the importance of building a personal brand because it literally makes getting 10 paying users trivial. Let's say I did not have an app today, and let's say I'm going to launch something else. It doesn't even matter what I launch. Like if I were to launch a course, which I'm never going to do, if I were going to launch a paid community, which I'm never going to do, if I were going to launch some other SaaS product, because of my personal brand, I can get 10 paying users in one day, probably in just a few hours by making a couple videos and posts. Like that is the power of a personal brand. And that basically anything you choose to do, like any business venture offer you choose to launch, will be at least moderately successful. Now, whether you can scale each of these to millions and millions of dollars per year, that's a different discussion. But if we're just talking about scaling any one of these offers to 1 million per year, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's like very straightforward if you start with a personal brand first. The reason is because you can get your first 10 paying users like basically instantly. And I'll show you what I did. So basically for my launch, it consisted of a YouTube video, which was a tutorial. It's like a 10-minute tutorial. Okay. Sent out an email to my newsletter. And then I made a TikTok video announcing it, which got cross-posted to Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and probably Threads and probably Twitter at the time. Like that was it. That was the entirety of my launch playbook. It cost $0. And that was it. Like, I mean, it probably took me a couple hours to put together all of the marketing assets just for my launch day. So I made a post actually of all the things that went wrong. So for example, that YouTube video, I accidentally uploaded an unedited YouTube video. So I had to make it private and upload a new video, but the new video had a different link. So my email newsletter went out with the wrong YouTube video. And that YouTube video I had deleted. So when you opened my email newsletter about the launch, it just looks like a frowny face at the top because there was no YouTube video to load. So you just open the newsletter and it's just like broken. Like that was your first experience with my launch. The second issue is I broke the link in my email newsletter. I didn't have like Amazon Pay or direct debit. Like these weren't working on my website. I sent onboarding calls to I think like the first 50 users or so because I wanted to meet them and like understand what they do. But the calendar invite didn't include where to meet. So people were just like getting these calendar events and like it had no meeting place or link. But you know, despite everything that went wrong, I was still really glad I launched and got it out of the way. You know, like the launch is only a big deal to you if you haven't launched yet. Once you have launched, you realize like it doesn't matter at all. And the hard work is actually sticking to it for a very long time until your product is good, until you've realized the thing you should have been building in the first place. The idea of being an influencer and creating content is like an insulting thing. Like that must be what someone does who is not successful building companies, was how I always thought of it. But I was wrong. Like this is like the most incredible leverage and shortcut. Like it is literally a hack and shortcut. If you're able to do this, and it may take longer, but it's worth pursuing even if it takes longer because it makes any other offer you choose to launch trivially easy. Like you will get your first 10 paying customers within a day. You'll probably get 100 paying customers within just a few months if you invest in building a personal brand first. So let's just say this is your offer. It could be a community, it could be a done-for-you service, whatever. How would you get your first 10 paying users if you do not have a personal brand today? And the answer is to leverage someone else's personal brand. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, if you look at my TikToks, okay, I have plenty of TikToks that talk about vibe coding. Go to those TikToks and DM people in the comments. Like literally, search anyone on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, whatever. Search their videos on vibe coding, you're going to see like tons and tons of people in the comments asking for help. All of these people honestly are like looking for help but not getting it. So like what I would do is like go DM all these people in the comments, and you don't have to like pitch that hard. So like if I was doing this and I had a vibe coding community that could help people, I would just find existing influencers' videos on this topic. Look at the comments, look for the people who are having pain, who are like, can you help me build this? I don't know where to start. I don't know which tool to use. I'm stuck. I would just go to these comments, DM these people that you have a way to help them. And like, don't be spammy. Just be like, hey, I saw you're struggling with vibe coding, ? Like, so this is how you can leverage someone else's personal brand. It's not going to be, you know, as great as having your own personal brand, but you can also play into the other person's personal brand. Let's say you have some kind of product for realtors. So what would I do? I would go on TikTok or Instagram and search for realtors who make content. And I did this recently, by the way, as my own experiment. And there's like literally thousands of them. There are thousands of realtors who make content. So you could DM them directly. Unlikely they'll respond if you have no credibility, right? You don't have a verified profile. They might, if they're a bigger influencer, they're probably getting 1,000 DMs a day, so it's unlikely they'll respond. But again, you can go to some of their viral videos about certain pain points and just farm the comments. Just like farm them, just DM the people who are in the comments, because they've already like qualified themselves in a certain way. They've already raised their hand and said like, I am interested in this realtor content. So number one, I only listen to people who are paying. Number two, is this person in the customer category I want more of? So a real example would be like, do I want more people who make brain rot videos, or do I want agencies? Like digital marketing agencies, social media marketing agencies, or do I want small businesses? These are the two things I would think about. Like, are they paying? Are they in the customer group you want more of? If they don't even pass those two filters, I do not really listen to the feedback. I just don't. Number three is like, how hard is it to build? When I launched my API for scheduling, you know, I launched it just as like a tiny solution to something annoying, which was in N8N, you couldn't post to TikTok. And it was like also painful to post to some other social media platforms. You couldn't post threads, you couldn't post stories to Instagram, like all of these things. So I built the API, like wasn't that hard. And then people kept asking me for more features related to the API. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I can add a parameter that takes like an hour. So, anyway, these are the three things I look at when I prioritize feedback. If you don't have many users, you know, then your first problem to solve is to go get a lot more users. So I also see people like trying to make like huge decisions based on their user group of 5 people who don't even care. You have to be brutally honest about that. So that's generally how I prioritize product feedback, and I ignore, like, for better or worse, I ignore like a lot of the other requests and feature requests and stuff from people who aren't paying, or aren't paying for a very long time, or aren't paying a lot, right? Like I have different tiers, so I can also prioritize feedback based on who's paying more than other people, and also just how hard it literally is to implement the feature.